Hi folks, it's Marvin Music with MedicareSchool.com, and we want to welcome you to our live event this evening. We try to do these every week on Thursdays. We have to adjust the schedule from time to time, but it worked out for us to be together. Thank you for setting aside this time in your schedule, and my goal always is for this to be profitable for you, that you'll learn something that can help you, but also could help others that are either going on Medicare or that are thinking about those decisions. So I hope tonight's session will be good. A couple things. I'm gonna definitely get into my topic for 5-10 minutes, and then I'm gonna start taking your questions. So if you would like to go ahead now and start putting your questions in the chat, then we will get to as many of these as we can. So we'll be around for at least an hour, hour and a half if we need to. Really, we want to answer your questions. Now, as you put your questions in, if you wouldn't mind, I know sometimes people try to be real brief to be concise, which we understand that, but be sure that we can understand your question. Sometimes people try to be so brief and abbreviated that we cannot make out the question, and that doesn't help you or us. So again, make sure it's very clear, and we'll answer as many as we can. Those of you that are clients, I just want to say to you, thank you for trusting us, allowing us to be your Medicare broker. I know we have folks from all over the country. Keep this in mind, you all. If you ever have a problem, I hope you'll never hesitate to contact us, whether that's a claim problem, you lost your card problem, it really doesn't matter. We truly invest lots and lots of money into our customer service, customer support team. And they're great folks. They care about you, and so please never feel frustrated if you're our client. You don't have to feel that way whatsoever. I know today a lot of people in insurance have to call an 800 number, and they're transferred to an international call center in the Philippines or India or China or someplace. And if you're our client, it doesn't happen that way. You'll come right into our home office, where I actually am as we speak, right outside of Kansas City, Missouri. We're in a suburb of it's called Overland Park, Kansas, right on the state line between Kansas and Missouri. And so you'll call right in. English is our first language. We know how to help you, and we will do so. And there's no cost at all, of course, to you as our client. So just remember that. Okay, I'm going to get into our topic tonight, and that is dealing with just a few stories that I want to share with you that I think will also be a way to teach you some things about Medicare, but also to understand the importance that you don't want this to happen to you. Some of the, well, actually all of them are terrible stories, but they're all true. And so the first one is a lady that came to me with a huge mistake that she had made. And kind of the background of it, what happened was this lady was getting ready to retire, covered by a group plan at work, and her husband also covered by the group plan. And as she was retiring, she was also approaching Medicare eligibility. Now, with everyone that worked at their company, part of the severance package was, regardless of age, whether you were 69 or 59, doesn't matter, regardless of age, the severance package was the company would pay for your insurance for 12 months after you retired. And so she had that benefit, which was awesome. And so what was going on, though, she was also approaching, and so was her husband, approaching Medicare eligibility. And so they were not real sure what to do about Medicare, so they go to their HR department, thankful that they had this 1 year of COBRA insurance paid for, and asked someone in the HR department, now we're Medicare eligible, what do we do about Medicare? And so someone in HR said, well, don't worry about Medicare, we're paying for your insurance for 12 months. And then after your COBRA terminates, then you can go on Medicare. And so that was the advice. They listened to their HR department, acted upon that advice, and went into retirement. Well, about 5-6 months into this, what happened was she had an autoimmune disorder that flared up really, really badly. And as a result of that, had to go in the hospital, actually twice, and then eventually was operated on during this several-month period of time. Of course, doc visits and MRIs, CAT scans, all kinds of stuff going on. So she has really a tremendous health issue. And so what happened was the bills began to come into the COBRA insurance company, the provider. When they come in, the claims person that's processing these bills realize, number one, we're the COBRA provider. We see that she is Medicare eligible. So before they started paying bills, they called the lady up and said, we're processing the claims and we need your Medicare number. And she said, well, I don't have a Medicare number. I was told I didn't need Medicare. I have COBRA insurance. And so the person that was processing the claim said, okay, I'll call you back tomorrow. And that's what they did. And so called back the next day and said, now here's how this will be, this claim will be processed. We're a COBRA payer, and we pay second to Medicare. And we're sorry that you did not enroll in a Medicare, but we still just pay second, and you are going to have to be the first payer. And of course, she had no idea she was supposed to be on Medicare, but whenever we are on a COBRA insurance and we're Medicare eligible, you have to enroll into Medicare to put Medicare in the first payer position. Her HR department did not know that, did not understand that. And so, really ignorance was no excuse. And so what happened was they processed the claim, COBRA paid second, and she was responsible for everything that Medicare would have paid had she enrolled. She had to pay, and it was amounted to about $80,000 out of her pocket. And so a very sad situation. Now, the person in her HR department meant her no ill. They didn't mean to hurt this lady, but they really didn't understand Medicare. And that's really my point. You have to be very careful who you listen to. We find that there's some people out there that mean well, but really don't understand Medicare, meaning they can't put all the Medicare pieces of the puzzle together. They're dangerous. They can't connect all the dots. Maybe some of them, not all of them. So as you make decisions, you have to be aware that folks give out bad advice all the time about Medicare. You act upon that, it could cost you dearly. Now, kind of a sad conclusion of that was she decided that she was going to sue her employer. Had been with them for years, wonderful employment with them, but she had to sue them because she felt like they were the ones liable for that mistake that she made. All right, so again, tragic situation there, $80,000. Second one that comes to my mind, really somewhat profoundly, is I had a lady and a husband. In fact, get this, this is actually the oldest people that I ever put into Medicare, meaning she worked longer than anyone I've ever helped, and I've helped lots and lots of people. But she was 79 years old when she finally retired. Husband was 83 years old. We brought them into Medicare. By the way, that's called the special enrollment period. And so I bring them in, and we started their Medicare. She's 79, he's 83. I put them on very good supplemental plans, all this well. Well, about 4 or 5 years later, she called me up, and her husband had just had a stroke. And again, we reach out to our clients all the time, so she probably had some contact with us in some fashion. But what had happened was a few months before the husband has a stroke, she was approached by another agent who talked her in, both of them, into getting Medicare Advantage plans. Okay, and I wish she would have called me out to, make sure she understood what she was doing, but she didn't. She listened to the agent, made the Advantage plan sound like it was great, and so they enrolled to an Advantage plan. Again, a couple months later, he has a stroke. They reach out to him. He doesn't return the phone call. Okay, very typical, by the way. A lot of people will write a plan and they're done with you. They're not going to service you. That's sad but true. But he didn't return the phone call. She calls me, Marvin, what am I going to do? He's had this stroke. We want to put him in a skilled nursing facility, but it is not in our network. And so she said, what can I do? And can we go back to our supplemental plan? And the answer to that was, no, you can't. You cannot. And so what happens when you take an Advantage plan, and she wasn't aware of this, that there, frankly, can be very few, sometimes skilled nursing facilities that will take those plans at all. And the one they wanted to go to was not in the network. And so they had no coverage at that skilled nursing facility. Very sad situation. In fact, he ended up dying just a couple weeks later. And then she said to me after he passed away, and she told me what had happened, she said, Marvin, can I get off of this Advantage plan now and return back to original Medicare? And so, of course, she's going to have to medically qualify to do that. And so what happens? Well, she had congestive heart failure. And there's no way to get her on a Medicare supplemental plan now. She had a great plan. She should have stayed on the plan. Agent talked her into getting the plan that paid the agent a higher commission, but wasn't the best coverage for her. But now she is still on that Advantage plan, congestive heart failure. We cannot get her through underwriting. So very sad situation. Very disappointed in the decision she made, but it could not be reversed. All right. So again, moral of the story: some things cannot be reversed when you make Medicare decisions. They come with consequences. Okay. And then the third one I want to mention is a lady that became my client at age 65. and she decided to enroll into an Advantage plan. And she literally shared this story with me. I mean, when I wrote her, I remember very distinctly. Marvin, I'm going to go on Medicare at 65. I am perfectly healthy. I'm going to take an Advantage plan, and I'm going to try to stay on this thing for about 5 years, save my premium money, and then at age 70, I'm going to call you back, and I think I've rolled the dice long enough. I'm going to go on a supplemental plan. And so that's exactly what she tried to do. But what happened was, and literally, folks, the appointment was set up. We were getting ready to go into open enrollment period. 5 years later, she's 70 years old now, and open enrollment period allows us to make the switch. But 2 weeks before our appointment, already set, but 2 weeks before, she goes to the doctor, and they have to remove a spot at her dermatologist and send off for biopsy, and it was melanoma. Okay. Now she can't switch. Why? Because melanoma is a declinable health condition. She wanted to move from Advantage to supplemental plan, has to go through medical underwriting, and cannot because of melanoma. Now, once she's cancer-free, treatment-free, within 2 years of that diagnosis, then she will be able to qualify in that area. But the point is that she rolled the dice, was planning to save the money, and really, frankly, didn't save anything, and still on that Advantage plan, waiting to be cancer-free, treatment-free for 2 years. All right, very unfortunate situation. And I see a lot of people who try to do the very same thing. All right, and so my whole point to you is this, folks. When you make Medicare decisions, don't just look at the monthly premium. Hey, listen, I have to live within a budget. I want to be frugal. I want to be wise with my money. But remember, in almost everything in life, we get what we pay for. And so, yes, those Advantage plans look real attractive, 0 premium, and you may be healthy, take no meds, but that could quickly change. I actually wrote a plan. I'll never forget this. I had a couple folks that retiring teachers came into my office. I wrote them both Advantage plans. That's what they wanted, healthy as could be. And I mean, literally in 6 months, the guy makes a point to come back to see me, and I walk out into our lobby, and he was the most yellow person I've ever seen in my entire life. He had liver cancer, and he was dying. 6 months earlier, I wrote him a plan. He had no health problems whatsoever. 6 months later, gets diagnosed with liver cancer and actually passed away within a couple months. His wife is still my client. But you just don't know. And so when we make Medicare decisions, don't just look at the monthly premium. Make sure you're very comfortable with all the aspects of that coverage, because it could matter. It may not matter today, but it could matter in the future. All right. I have homeowners insurance. I hope my home never burns down, but it could, and that's why I have a good policy. Same thing with auto and all those kind of things. Health's the same way. So don't just look at the premium. Look at how that insurance is going to work. All right. So that sounds good. Daniel's our producer. He's in with me here in our office, and so I'm going to start taking questions. So Daniel, bring them on, and let's see if we can be helpful. All right. John says on Plan G, but company customer service is terrible. Hangs up after long hold times, can't find my policy, never got a welcome kit, premium paid on time. What can I do? Oh, wow. Okay, so interesting. Can't find my policy. Okay, here's what I want you to do. Well, clearly you have a card. And so what I would do is when you call in, well, honestly, John, I've never had this happen. Okay, this is truly a new one on me. Of course, we have our own customer service team. What would I do? Well, maybe if you can't get someone to pick up, why don't you do this? You have an address for them, or maybe even an email address if you can. Why don't you email them or write them and let them know, hey, I'm one of your customers. I'd like to have a copy of my policy. I don't have that. And then request that, just put that request in writing. And I would say probably within just a couple of weeks, they ought to respond to that request and send you a new policy. And John, another thing you can do if you're fed up with that, I don't know how old you are or your situation, but if you want to call in, we'd be happy to see if we could become your agent. But if you call in, our switchboard's still open. It's open tonight till 7 p.m. Central Time. We are open, switchboard's open 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday to Thursday, 7 to 6 on Fridays. And so call in right now, and you can be transferred to one of our agents, and let's see if we may be able to help you to give you another option. So really sorry to hear that. That's sad, unfortunate. Let's keep going. Oh, I do that a lot. Okay. I'll quit hitting the table. Here we go. If I want to go to a chiropractor, do I have to visit with my primary doctor to get an okay first? Or do I just go find one that takes regular Medicare? I'm on G plan from California. Okay. First off, you do not have to have a referral ever on a Medicare supplemental plan. okay, ever. So no referrals required. That's advantage. Mark, what you have to be aware of is that here's what you do. You need to find a chiropractor that actually takes Medicare. And there are some that do, for sure. And so if they take original Medicare, ask them if they do, and then you can actually set that appointment up to go see them. Now, one thing you have to be careful of, as you call offices, sometimes doctors' offices, specialists, and you call in, you have to remind them, if you tell them your supplemental company, they may think that you're on an Advantage plan. This happens all the time. If you're on a supplemental plan, you don't have to tell them anything about the plan. Just ask them, do you take original Medicare? Because if they do, they will take your supplemental plan. Sometimes there are receptionists, people that are new in the business that think everyone's on Advantage, and so they got to see if they take the plan if they're in the network. And so it doesn't work that way in your situation, Mark. Original Medicare is all. Now, what you have to also be careful of, Mark, is that at the chiropractor's office, even if that chiropractor takes Medicare, the only thing that's covered in that office would be the adjustment of the spine. If that doctor does, traction or heat therapy or x-rays, those are not covered by Medicare. There's really minimal coverage by Medicare for chiropractic care. The adjustment of the spine only, and occasionally, certain situations, they'll pay for acupuncture. But that's it, all right? Medicare doesn't deem that many of the things a chiropractor will do is medically necessary, therefore not covered, nor will it be covered then by your supplemental plan. Remember, folks, supplemental plans follow Medicare. Medicare covers, supplemental plan will cover and pay. But if Medicare doesn't, supplemental plan does not, except for foreign travel emergency. All right, so that's the answer. Let's keep going. All right, hi, this is CJ from Vancouver, Washington. Can I enroll supplemental plan in 4 months after enrollment of Medicare Part B? I thought there's 6-month enrollment period to select. Okay, let's go back. So you said in, and he has, okay, here's the way it works. You're right. You can still enroll into a plan in every state, including Washington. Once our B date starts, we actually are still in that open enrollment window. It's called a Medigap OEP, where you have 6 months of your B date, where you do not have to have any underwriting whatsoever. Whatever company you choose, whatever plan you choose, that in plan, the company will issue that policy. But once we're over the 6 months of B date, then in most states we have to go through underwriting. Washington would be one of those, so you are fine. You don't have to panic. You just need to get serious about it. So, and again, we write business all the time in Washington, so if you want to give us a call, we can give you some prices and talk about the different companies that are available to you, and then also talk about rate stability. And you also have to be on a drug plan as well. So you are still fine, but I'd be getting moving very quickly. And really, for all of you that are watching, what we're talking about is once we have started our Medicare B, not A date, but B date. Because sometimes A and B dates are different. Someone may take A only and keep working for a couple years and then pick up B once they've retired. And so the key to this question he has is the date is the B date. So let's say my B date was March 1. It's just coming up, March 1. What happens is 3 to 6 months prior to my B date, I actually can apply for a Medicare supplemental plan. Now, it's not going to go into effect until my B date does, but once my B date starts, then my supplemental plan is all set up and it's in force. So I can do that 3 to 6 months in advance. But once my B date begins, I'm still in my window that has 6 more months where I can still get any Medigap policy of my choice, any company that I choose with no underwriting whatsoever. That's the Medigap OEP. Now, you have to count your Medicare start month as your first month. So if my start month is March, I'm counting March. So it would be March, April, May, June, July, August. All the way up until August 31, I can apply for a Medigap policy. That's my 6-month window, no underwriting. They have to write it, the policy. They have to cover your pre-existing conditions. They can't ask you any health questions. You will have coverage for sure. That's the way it works. All right. Kim, I'm turning 65 in September, diagnosed with Parkinson's. Will that prevent me from being accepted for G? Not at all, Kim. And for the very reason that I just talked about with the last question, you're going to start in September. And so what I would do, Kim, I mean, you just call in. Let's back up the clock, 6 months. So really, anytime that would be September, August, July, June, May, April, March, really, anytime after 3/1, you actually can go ahead and apply for a supplemental plan. Now, some states it's 3 months, but most are 6. So you can do things now, and that policy will go into effect September 1. And then, Kim, if you're not on Social Security yet, meaning you're not going to be enrolled into Medicare yet, because no Social Security, then we can actually do that for you. If you've already enrolled into Social Security, then what will happen? Medicare you'll be automatically enrolled into Medicare A and B. My point is, if you haven't been yet enrolled in Medicare A and B because you're not on Social Security, we can also do that for you as we approach those dates. So if your birthday's in September, we back up the clock 3 months, and that's going to be August, July, and then June. So anytime after June 1, if you have to self-enroll, you can enroll in a Medicare A and B. We'd be happy to assist with that, and then get that supplemental plan set up at the same time so that everything goes into effect September 1st. So you don't have to worry about qualifying. They have to cover you. That's just the federal law, 6 months. Now, after 6 months, which would be September, October, November, December, January, February, after that, you would never be able to get a supplemental plan with Parkinson's disease. It's an auto decline, but you don't have to worry about it. They will write the policy. So I'm glad you have that situation. You're going to be able to get it. No health questions asked. All right, let's keep going. Are dermatologists covered by Medicare? Yes, as long as the dermatologist takes Medicare, and the majority of them do. Their clientele is pretty much the seniors, and so yes, they will. And there's lots of things that are going to be covered. Now they're going to cover some kind of elective surgery, but for sure Medicare covers dermatologists and most of the care that you'll need there. All right, I've often have trouble sleeping. What type of doctor should I go to? Will Medicare pay for the office visit? Interesting. I honestly don't know. I maybe a neurologist, possibly. Start there. I mean, I think if you have a primary care doctor, that's probably where I'd begin and ask them for a reference. If you're on Medicare, you don't have to have a referral at all. But if you're not aware of a doctor that would be able to treat that kind of situation, you're going to Google that. Who does that? I think it'd be a neurologist maybe. That would be able to help you with that. But Medicare will cover, I know they'll cover sleep tests, different things, and the doc's office is going to know exactly what Medicare will cover. What kind of?
They're actually sleep specialists.
Oh, wow. Okay. Daniel says there's somnologists. Wasn't aware of that. So sleep specialists that, and just all you have to do is be sure to call them and say, do you take original Medicare? And if they do, you're good to set up an appointment. Okay, you have the member ID. Good, that's wonderful. So, John, your card has the name of the insurance company on there, probably their address. Most times that does include the address. So maybe make a copy of your card or write the information down and send it in. Say, hey, we cannot reach anybody, can't get a return phone call. Please send me a copy of my policy. Okay, and they will do so. All right, Audrey, I'm wanting to go on the supplemental plan. If I decide to go back to work, would I be able to change back to my employer plan? Yes, you can. Folks, the only thing that is really permanent with Medicare would be once you have started Medicare A, you can't disenroll from A. Okay, and so, but it's not a big deal anyways because A has no premium. So what I encourage people to do is if you're on A and B and you have a supplemental plan and you do go back to work, before you cancel your supplemental plan and undo all that, just make sure that the employer plan option is going to be better financially. And if it is, then what you do is you can drop your supplemental plan, you can drop your drug plan, and you can drop Medicare Part B. And be sure to drop Medicare Part B because if you're with an employer that has 20 or more employees, the company plan is going to pay first. And Medicare second. So again, 20 employees on the payroll or more, then I would drop B. And the form that you use is called the 1763. That would go to your local Social Security office and you would drop Part B, and then they'll send you a new card. You have A only, and then when you finally retire, then you can come back into the system, pick up B with no penalties, no problems, as long as you've had employer credible coverage all the way back. That's the way to do that. And that way you can restart that 6-month Medigap open enrollment period to get any Medigap policy that you want. But if you stay enrolled in B and then you drop your group plan and want to come back in later, now you could have a problem. So drop the B as well if you drop that supplemental plan and have a good employer plan. All right. Applied for Part B via online. Does SSA show status during processing or only when they're finished? No. I think you ought to be able to go onto your myssa.gov account and see what that status is. Now, it may take maybe a week or 10 days or so for that to be up to date. But yeah, you should be able to check the status on that for sure. So go in there. And I will tell you, of course, I don't know where you live, but right now we're seeing on average them being processed within about 4 weeks. Sometimes a little later, sooner or later, but it's been about 4 weeks if you did it online. Okay, so you should be fine. But check the status through your myssa.gov account. All right, Daniel. All right, sidebar. I'm 67, but working to 70 will have coverage. I'm on Medicare, but no supplements. I don't need to sign up for anything. Right. Okay. Well, Brett, if you're still working, you have a good group plan. I hope that you have A only. And so, again, that's the best position. So when you say I don't need to sign up for anything, that's true. You don't have to do A, you don't have to do B, as long as you're employed by a company that has 20 employees or more on the payroll. You don't have to do anything at all with Medicare. Now, if you have A and B, then drop the B, use the 1763 form, and because you're wasting money. You're having to pay for that B. But if you don't have B, you don't have A, you're in a fine position. Now, I would tell you this. If you're not contributing to an HSA, a health savings account, I would go ahead and take A only. There's no cost for A as long as you've paid into the tax system 10 years, and I'm sure you have. So it's all right to have A only unless you have an HSA. And if you have an HSA, don't do A, don't do B. But with no HSA, I encourage people to get into the A system because, Brett, with A only, what happens is your employer pays first and Medicare A, which is the hospital side, pays second. And they will pay coinsurance. So if you have coinsurance responsibility, if you got hospitalized, you'll be grateful that you had Medicare A because they'll pay some of the bills. All right. Okay, my husband is retiring soon. We're going to Medicare. He's several years older than me and has provided. Okay, yes, we do. We have a lot of people come to us where one is Medicare eligible, the other is not. So as we work with your husband on his Medicare plan, we can also make sure that you have the appropriate insurance as well, which would typically be through the marketplace or some other off-market type of insurance that you will need individually. So Deb, the answer is yes. We can help you with that as well. We call them underage policies, and we do write those. Okay. Okay, turning 65 in May. Can I start A and B and stay on my employer insurance instead of getting a gap plan? They have 20 more employees. Well, Disney, you can. I wouldn't do that. And if your employer plan is a good plan, I think it's a waste of money to be paying for Medicare B. You're going to have to pay right now. I don't know your income, but everyone pays at least $185 a month for Medicare B. And so if you are paying $185 a month for Medicare being the second payer position, I don't think that's a good use of money, personally. Now, if you have a lousy or mediocre group plan, then what I would do is lay your Medicare option, A and B, and a supplemental plan G or N, lay that beside the employer option. And it may make sense to come off the group plan because you can do that and go on Medicare. So that's what I would do. Good group plan, I would have A only and not B. And again, and remember why I'm saying this is because if you take B now and you keep working for a couple years and then you want to get off that plan, group plan, and then come back in the market, you're going to have less choices available to you for supplemental plans unless you can go through underwriting. Because remember, I talked about the 6 month of the B date is the date you can have anything you want. After that, there are limited choices. So I think you're hurting yourself by having A and B in the second, A and B in the second payer position if you have a good group plan. Do A only. That'd be my advice. All right. Or do Medicare totally, stop paying for the group plan, and get a gap policy. My full insurance at 67, so I do pay for Part A, be out of pocket. Yeah, and yes, you do, Jay. Once we put on Social Security, the premiums are paid for through Social Security deductions. So what you'll do is you'll either be billed direct bill quarterly, so they'll send you a 3-month bill for your Part B premium. So you'll pay that direct, or you can do an auto pay either online or through a system called Medicare Easy Pay. If you want to do monthly, they'll give you some options. It'll just have to be some kind of an auto bank draft. If you don't like that, then they'll bill you on a quarterly basis. The only thing I want to clarify here is, Jay, there's no cost for A as long as you've paid into the Medicare tax system for 40 quarters, which is 10 years. We get 4 quarters a year. So I doubt there's going to be premium for Part A. It would just be the Part B. And if you're single and your income was below $106,000 a year, or married and filed a joint return, you're below $212,000 a year, that monthly expense would be $185 a month. Okay, comes out of your check, or they'll bill you quarterly, or you do a bank draft. Okay, new to Medicare, 2/1/2025, new, and have scheduled a CAT scan in a week. The payment process work. I'll have an A and B and a G plan. Okay, very good. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. When you go to your provider, your diagnostic imaging, company, you're going to give them, Bernard, your A and B card and your supplemental card. There's no co-payments. There's nothing out of pocket when you're in that scenario. Give them the 2 cards, and what's going to happen is they're going to file that claim with Medicare, including your supplemental information. So the rules are Medicare has to pay first. So then Medicare will pay their part, and that's covered under the B of Medicare, of course, and they'll take the balance of what Medicare did not pay, and they're going to send that to your insurance company, whoever you selected. And then what will happen is if you're on a G plan or an N plan, what's going to happen, you're going to be responsible for the annual Medicare B deductible. And it's once a year. It's this year $257. So again, Medicare is going to pay, but you're going to have that deductible. So they're going to take that $257 deductible, and they're going to send it to your insurance company. Well, if you haven't met the deductible yet, which in this scenario you haven't, and you're on a G plan or an N plan, you're responsible to meet that deductible. So then what will happen is they'll notify the provider that they can bill you, they meaning the provider can bill you up to the deductible amount of $257. So that's what that CAT scan is going to cost you, $257, guarantee you. So that'll be the process. Now the good news is now you've met your deductible, and if you're on a G plan, you won't have any other out-of-pocket expenses the rest of the year because Medicare covers all the other gaps. Now, if you're on an N plan, you could have some additional out-of-pocket expenses. Not a lot, but you'll have co-pays along the way. But that G plan is full coverage, except once a year you meet the B deductible. This year, $257. So that's the path of the billing. Again, anyone's on supplemental plan, you never pay at the provider, ever. The rules are that doctor has to bill Medicare first, get set up with Medicare, goes to your supplemental company, and then, of course, you may have that deductible, and that is it. Now, if you're on a Advantage plan, that's different. They could ask you, they give us $250, $300, $350 as a co-payment for the CAT scan, or they won't actually give services to you. So Advantage plans do have to pay at the provider's office if indeed there's a co-pay responsibility, which there usually is. All right, leaving employment, starting Medicare. I heard that HSA. Okay. Does the 6 months still apply if switching to COBRA? Okay. Here's the way it works. When you go on Medicare A, once that A date is effective, let's say our A date is effective 3/1, and I have Medicare A. If I have A and B 3/1, doesn't matter, but the A date's just enough. A is 3/1/2025. I should have made my last contribution to my HSA in February, because once you're on Medicare, any form, A or B or both, doesn't matter, any form of Medicare, once it's gone into effect, no new money can go into your HSA. All right, so legally, in my example, let's say it's March. You could have put in 2 months into your HSA, which this year, the limit is $4,300 a year plus a $1,000 catch-up. You do the math, it's about $440 a month. So you could have legally contributed to an HSA for, that'd be $880, and there'd be, you didn't overfund it. But if you continue to put money into your HSA and you're maxing out on that, then now you're going to overfund that, and then you're going to have to get that reversed, or you'll be actually penalized for overfunding it. Okay, so now you're saying that does the 6 months still apply to switching to COBRA? So what I think you're asking me is, let's say that you keep working past 65, and let's say you enroll into Medicare at 66. What they're going to do now, they're going to backdate your A date 6 months from the date that you enroll. So again, let's say you're 66, you enroll into Medicare A only, they're going to backdate that 6 months. And so once they've established that A date, and now it's 6 months earlier, you should have, again, put no new money into your HSA once you have A. Now, folks, listen to me. When they backdate the A date 6 months, they will never backdate prior to 65. They always go back 6 months or to 65, whatever is the soonest. Okay, so let's say you're 69 and you enroll into A and B, you're ready to retire. They're going to backdate that to 68 and a half. And so you are legal to contribute to your HSA until that A date is effective. That's how it works. So the COBRA thing, and by the way, switching to COBRA, if you're on Medicare, that makes no sense to me, okay? Because COBRA is only going to pay second to Medicare. So if you keep your COBRA, that's fine, but you better be sure you know you're enrolled in A and B, so therefore you shouldn't be putting money into your HSA. So COBRA is bad news, folks, if you're on Medicare. Now, it's all right if you have A and B and COBRA in the second payer position, as long as you don't keep that COBRA beyond 6 months and lose that Medigap open enrollment period. It's fine to use it then. I encourage people to do it, especially if it's paid for. But if you're having to pay for COBRA and it's in the second payer position, that's silly. There's no reason to do that whatsoever. Take A and B and get a supplemental plan G or N, and you'll be in a lot better position. All right. Mike, my wife and I are in our late 70s, have Medicare, Tricare for life. Well, let me say, the terminology we use, Mike, is this. Tricare is secondary to Medicare. And by the way, it's excellent, okay? You are setting very well. And by the way, thanks for serving our country. That's why you have Tricare, or your wife, whoever did. So you have A and B pays first, Tricare pays second. It's not a supplemental plan officially because those are given letters. We have supplemental plans A, B, C, D, F, G, K, L, M, and N. Those are the 10 supplemental plans. But it works just like an F plan because it's full coverage. Plus, it has drug coverage, which is wonderful as well for you. So you have very good insurance. You don't need a supplemental plan. You're in a very, very good position. Okay. Hang on just a second. We're getting him. Here we go. I'm looking to go back to work full-time and wondering, can I refuse to take the new job's insurance and stay on my Medicare? Absolutely. It is done all the time, okay? So if you're happy with your Medicare plan and you believe that's your best situation, whether it's financially or whatever, you do not have to take the company plan. Now, I will tell you this. If your company really wants you back, I've seen this happen plenty of times, you say to them, I'm going to go ahead and stay on Medicare, and then sometimes they'll give you additional pay because of that, because like in our company, for like a family plan, it costs us $1,200, $1,500 a month for a family plan. Individuals, it's like $700 a month. It's a lot. So if I have somebody come to me and say they're going to stay on Medicare, we can actually give them a pay raise because of that, because we don't have to be covering their insurance, so that employer may do that for you. I have seen it. Okay. Medicare school recently advised me to switch from Aetna to Aflac to save $40. However, the orthopedic doctor will not accept Aflac. I've never had that happen before. I'm 70. Why is this happening? Hey, Mara, let me tell you something. That should not have happened, okay? If that orthopedic doctor took Aetna, they have to take Aflac. They just do. So someone is not processing that claim properly, I promise you. Because here's why. Medicare supplemental plans are all standardized. So if a doc takes one, doc has to take another. So somebody in that office, in fact, do me a favor. You call our office, please, and I want you to ask for Sherry. And a lot of customer service people do this, and be sure to tell her that Marvin said for you to call Sherry and tell her what's going on, and we'll get that orthopedic doc on the line and make that call as a three-way call and try to straighten out the record, because I promise you that should not be happening. They are absolutely wrong. They will take Aflac. They will. All right, Dennis, my 65th birthday is December 2025. I will quit working in January, which means I will have health coverage through January 31. I need plan A, B, D, and G to start February 1, 2026. When should I start signing up? Okay, Dennis, number one, I am assuming that you're not on Social Security yet, because if you are, you would be automatically enrolled into Medicare A and B that would go effective in December. Okay, so I'm assuming you're not on Social Security. So what you're asking me is what's the best timing? So here's what I would do. And number one, let us help you with this. There's no cost for our services. We'll help you get enrolled, and we'll do everything right, and shop plans and all that. So please, let us help you. But let me tell you what the way we would handle this case. Number one, let's back up the clock, December. So we've got December, November, October, September. So anytime after September 1, the way I would handle the case is I would enroll you into Medicare A only. That way you're in the system, Medicare A only, for a September 1 date. So we do it online, and we would say no to B. Okay, and I'm going to show you why in just a second. So we're going to say A only, and that A only would kick in December the 1st. There's no cost for A. You've been working, I'm sure, more than 10 years, so you've got plenty of taxes paid in. And then what we would do, because you want to start February 1, we actually would submit one form. It's very simple. It's called a 40B, CMS 40B. And it has your name, your address, your Social Security number, your phone number on there. And then in the comment section, we would put in, and our agent will do this for you. You got to submit it, but we'll fill it out for you. And on that form, we're going to say, please begin my Medicare 2/1/2026. All right? And so the key to this is we would submit that during the month of January, because once we've gone past our birth month and we submit a document in January, your birth month's December, we submit for Part B in January, it will start you in February, okay? If we submitted that in December, it starts you in January. That's a month early. That's a waste of money. So do A only anytime after September 1. We have A only, we're in the system. We submit one form, the 40B, requesting in the comments section, please begin my Medicare B 2/1/2026, and that form is submitted during the month of January. It will be seamless, flawless, and let us help you with that. We do a good job for you. Okay, let's keep going. The question is, which one is the primary, Medicare A, B, or company more than 20 employees provide insurance? Okay, so Medicare says this: if you're still working or your spouse is, you're covered by an employer-provided plan, 20 employees on the payroll or more, that company plan is the first payer, Medicare is second. If we have 19 or fewer employees on the payroll, then Medicare takes the first payer position and your group plan is second. And that's why we tell people that if you're still working or your spouse is still working, cover a group plan, and there's 19 or fewer employees, you have to go on Medicare at 65 to put Medicare in the first payer position. Company plan pays second. Now in that scenario, what I would do is I would probably drop the group plan fully and just go ahead and go fully on Medicare, since you have to have A and B anyways, and normally that's a much better cost anyways to you because small employers typically have pretty high premiums. So that's what I would do. So 20 or more would be the cutoff. All right, is there a B date in Oregon, and do you have to go through underwriting? In other words, can we in Oregon switch original Medicare plans around our birth date each year without underwriting? Okay, here's the way it works. So Oregon, they're kind of very unique in that once you have a supplemental plan, once you're enrolled, and again, the best time to buy one is that 3 to 6 months before B date or within 6 months after. That rule still applies in Oregon. So once we have then that supplemental plan, then Oregon is a birthday rule state. And again, there are about, I think, 16 birthday rule states. There's 3 more that just have come on. And so each one's a little different, okay? But to exercise the birthday rule, you do have to be on a supplemental plan. That birthday rule doesn't allow you to pick a new one up. It allows you to switch and change like to like or like to less, meaning G to G or G to N around your birthday. And again, Oregon, it could be 30 days before birthday, 60 days after. It could be once your birthday hits, and now the next 60 days. Every state's a little bit different. Did you Google that, Daniel? Birthday rule in Oregon? But I know it is a birthday rule state for sure. California is, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, state of Nevada, Illinois, Louisiana, Missouri, guaranteed issue state, Kentucky, Maryland, soon to be Nebraska. We have 3 new ones coming on. But a birthday rule state just simply means once you have a supplemental plan on an annual basis, you can change carriers. plan like G to G or G to N without any underwriting. Okay.
Can't find anything.
Okay, and that's fine. I'm sorry. I didn't know for sure the exact birthday rule for Oregon, but the answer to your question is yes, you can do that. But a lot of people think that because the state has a birthday rule, they can be on a Advantage plan and move to a supplemental plan during their birthday. That's not true. Okay, you have to be on one to use the birthday rule switching. All right, let's keep going. Lisa C, does Medicare cover a visit to an urgent care facility? Yes, they will. Now, the key to that, Lisa, is you just have to make sure that the urgent care facility you're going to takes original Medicare. And if they do, then that means Medicare is going to cover that urgent care visit, and then your supplemental plan will follow. Now, if it's your first claim for the year, if you're on a G or N plan, you're going to have to pay a deductible, but again, you don't pay that at the urgent care facility. So the answer to your question is yes, it's covered. And your only out-of-pocket expense would be if you haven't met your deductible, you may need to do that during that visit after the billing course has processed through. So the answer is yes, they do. Be sure the provider takes Medicare, though, because remember, if the provider doesn't take Medicare, then Medicare is not going to cover. That's why concierge doctors are not covered by Medicare, so I wouldn't go to one. Okay. Here we go. Had a stroke in 1997, went on Medicare. Sorry, I keep moving the table here. Turned 65 next year. Can I get an F plan? Okay. No, you can't. An F plan is not a possibility for you, nor is a C plan, which means supplemental plan C. Anyone that's starting Medicare after January 1, 2020 cannot get the F supplemental plan or C. But listen, George, you don't need that. Get a G or an N. Both of those would be great options. And even though you had that stroke, you'll still get that plan because you're going to start that when you turn 65. All right, so yeah, F is full coverage, but the reason I'm saying even if you could get it, I wouldn't, just because the premiums are so high. So if you get a G plan, it's almost like the F. The only difference is you're going to save about $100 a month between G and F, and the G, you have to pay the B deductible once a year. Well, that's $257 this year. So take $250 divided by 12, you got a little over $20 a month. And so if my F plan would cost me $100 extra, I just paid $100 extra a month for them to cover the B deductible. So you got a $20 benefit and you paid $100 for it. So don't do that. Either get a G plan or an N plan. Of course, you can't get an F anyways because how old you are. But I wouldn't even if you could. All right, next. Wife signed up for Medicare and a supplemental plan at 65, but subsequently moved her to my employer-sponsored plan. Can she easily move back to a supplemental plan when I stop working? Okay, well, not necessarily. No. So sounds like to me you got off the supplemental plan, but you kept her on B. Now, Joseph, what I would do if you have a good group plan at work, and it sounds like you do, or you wouldn't have dropped the supplemental plan, what I would do is I would disenroll from Medicare B. You can do that. Now, if you're going to stop working in the next couple of months, I wouldn't do that. But if you're going to keep working for another 6 months or a year and you have a good group plan, you can drop her from B. And the form is called a 1763. It's very easy to fill out. And what you would do, and by the way, that B on that form is called supplemental. You have hospital and supplemental. So you're going to tell them, I'm saying Medicare calls Part B on that form supplemental. You and I say supplemental plan GN, but they call Part B supplemental. So you would tell them when you want to drop it, and I would drop it effective 3/1 of this year. In the comments section, just say to them why you're doing it. I'm dropping it because I have a great group plan. I'm going to keep working for a while. And then what's going to happen when you retire in a year or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, then you come back into Medicare B using what's called the special enrollment period. So as long as she's either had Medicare or an active group provided plan, she'll have no problems coming back in. And then you reset the B date, then she can get another supplemental plan, no underwriting whatsoever. That's the smartest way to handle that. All right, so Form 1763. And there will be no issues. And if you want to call in and talk to our agent about how to do that, be happy to take that call and walk you through that. But that's the process that I would follow. Because why? You're spending at least $185 a month for Part B, and it's the second payer. To me, that's a waste of money. All right, just started A and B January 1st this year. Was told payments would be monthly, but got letter they bill 3 months at a time. Okay, well, I'm not sure who told you they were monthly at all. but they're not. The only way people pay monthly Part B premiums is through Social Security check deductions. That's the only way. Now, when you get that quarterly bill, what you can do is set up a monthly bank draft. And that's called Medicare Easy Pay, or if you have a myssa.gov account, or no, let me back up, a mymedicare.gov account, you can actually go on and you can pay that and set up an online payment. All right, but you have to make arrangements for them to be monthly auto draft. Otherwise, it is quarterly. Okay, and just so you know, the very first bill, I've seen it not quarterly, I've seen it as much as 5 months. And so your very first bill could be 2, 3, 4, 5 months. Then after that, it's going to be quarterly. Sounds like you may have got the quarterly out of the gate as well, which is fine. But someone just told you wrong. Plenty of wrong information in Medicare. Marvin, just want to say a big thank you for all the good work doing to help Medicare recipients. Alrighty. Well, Larry, thank you for the encouragement. I love what I do. It is a privilege to be in this business. I really mean that. And we have a company full of people who feel just like I do. We love to serve people, and thanks for the encouragement. All right. Hi, turned 65 April. I'm not enrolled in A or B. I'm currently on my husband's insurance, but he will be retiring in 2 years. What should I do? Well, Deanne, what I would do is let's find out what, number one, I'm assuming your husband works for a large employer. 20 or more, you don't have to do anything with Medicare. 19 or less, got to go on Medicare. So let's assume it's 20 or more, probably is. And so what I would do is I would have your husband find out from his HR department, if he doesn't know the answer already, what does it cost him to cover you? What's it cost him to cover you on the group plan? And if that cost to him is, let's say it's $200 a month just for you or less, that's pretty good, especially if you have a good group plan. Now, if it's more than $200 a month and it's a mediocre or lousy plan with maybe a $5,000 or $10,000 deductible or something, then what I would do is just get off the group plan so he'd have to pay for it anymore and just go on Medicare. Now, there's a lot of variables that go into that, and the best way and easiest way to do this, Deanne, is if you want to call in or go online, set an appointment up, have our agent work through that comparison with you if you want. But again, if it's costing him $200 a month or less, stay right on the group plan. Don't do anything with Medicare. Now, if you don't have an HSA, it's all right to enroll into A only. It's fine to do that. But if you have an HSA, do nothing. But again, I still would take the time to make the comparison. If it's costing him to cover you more than $200 a month, Medicare may be a better value, especially if you have a high deductible. All right. Here we go. Joyce, have to sign up. You sold me on ABG, and do I need something for meds? Joyce, yes. I definitely would get a prescription drug plan. And here's the thing, Joyce, you may be perfectly healthy, but you always want to get a prescription drug plan, and they're very low cost. And there's some out there that are $3, $5. There's one's a zero premium. So depending on what meds you take, then we want to find the right drug plan for you. So you want to enroll into that plan because 2 reasons. Number one, well, actually 3 reasons. Number one, if you don't take a drug plan when you first go on Medicare A and B, then they can penalize you. And the penalties are not huge, but they're lifetime. So that's why you get a Part D plan. And the second reason you get one is because, let's say your health changed in 3 months or 6 months, and now you need a medication that costs $15,000 a month. I have plenty of clients on those kind of meds. And so now you don't have a drug plan, you need a medication that costs $15,000 a month. What are you going to do? Well, beg, borrow, and steal, try to get that medication. If you had a drug plan, Part D plan, that costs you $10 a month or whatever, the most you would spend would be $2,000 out of pocket for the whole year. That's why you get a drug plan, not because of what we take now, but what could happen on our health this year. Because number 3, you can't add a drug plan just because you want to. Once you're offered the opportunity to have a drug plan, which is 3 months before you turn 65, month up, 3 months after, if you don't get a drug plan then, what happens is you can pick one up every year, October 15th to December 7th, but that plan does not go into effect till January 1. So you're penalized, you're putting yourself in a huge risk position without a Part D plan, and then thirdly, you can't pick one up just because you want to. You have to wait until the open enrollment season to do that. That's the reason. So get a drug plan. That'd be A and B, G, and a Part D plan, and we'll help you with all that. Okay, happy to do it. Give us a call, Joyce. All right, a friend of mine will be 65 soon, currently use ACA. She's asking if it's best to enroll in Medicare Part A, B, and D, and G, or maybe in a Medicare Advantage plan. Well, it just really all boils down to what's her budget. Okay, I'll say this. I think that it is there's a place for Advantage plans, and the place for Advantage are for people that can't afford the premiums on a supplemental plan, meaning their budget is so tight, extremely tight, where they cannot afford a supplemental plan. And if someone is in that scenario, then I think they should get an Advantage plan. If you can't afford SUP, get Advantage. Okay. Now, you asked me what's going to be the best. I like supplemental plans for a couple of reasons. The first one I like them for is because I don't ever have to deal with a network. Advantage plans, you always deal with networks, always, okay? HMOs or PPOs. Many of the plans this year are HMO plans. There's some PPOs for sure, but they make the HMOs much more attractive. But what's the problem with an HMO plan? Limited networks, smaller networks, okay? Got to stay in your network unless it's emergency. Go out of the network, you pay for it 100% or a lot, okay? So you have network issues with Advantage plans. When you have a supplemental plan, never. You can go to any provider as long as they take original Medicare, they will take your supplemental plan. So again, that's a big deal to me. I don't want to have to worry about who picks my doctors. Do I? You do if you have a supplemental plan, but if you're on an Advantage plan, you don't pick your doctors. You have to make sure those doctors are in that network. And here, folks, they could be in the network this year and gone next year. All right, so that happens. They're very fluid with networks. Number two, when you have a Medicare supplemental plan, you will never have the insurance company that can interfere. They can never delay coverage. They can never deny coverage. If Medicare covers, they've got to cover. They have no say-so whatsoever, ever. When you have an Advantage plan, the Advantage plan, 70% of the time, has the final word. 70% of the time, there will be a pre-authorization required. CAT scans, MRIs, skilled nursing stays, any kind of a surgery, unless it's emergency, it's going to have to be pre-approved. Hip replacements, knee replacements, all those things have to be pre-approved by the insurance company before you get it. And again, many times they're going to say, yes, we agree, but plenty of times they say, no, we don't agree. We're not going to cover a full hip replacement. We'll pay for a rod. We're not going to cover your knee replacement. We want you to go to therapy first for 9 months, and then we'll see. So those kind of things happen on Advantage plans. So again, if I can afford an N plan or a G plan, extra $120, $150 a month, I don't have the hassles of networks. I don't have the hassles of pre-authorizations. The third thing I like about it, supplemental plans is they're permanent. I can never lose it. I pay my premium. It's mine for the rest of my life. No matter how old I become, no matter how many claims I have, it is my policy for the rest of my life. Advantage plans are written for 1 year and only 1 year at a time. They change all the time. And so those are reasons, and I could go on and on, other reasons, but those are the big deals to me, okay? And so someone has an extra money to get a supplemental plan, that's what I would do. I think you're getting premium, quality coverage, much easier to use, no hassles. Where I have an Advantage plan, yeah, it could be cheap, zero premium, but now I've got some additional issues. Pre-authorizations, networks, plans change, all those kind of things. So in my budget, I'm by the way, I'm close to 65, less than a year. I can guarantee you I am going to get a supplemental plan. I can afford that little extra to be able to have that, and we all know, we've been around long enough, you get what you pay for. And now, listen, Advantage plans have perks, and a lot of people get sucked into them because of the perks. They'll give a dental benefit or a hearing aids or something like that, and those things are fine. But when it comes to the insurance part of it, the coverage for medical issues, they're average, okay? Supplemental plans are quality. Don't have perks. You have to get your own dental plan. Then they're going to have a gym membership. But you have quality insurance. You got cancer or had some kind of heart problem, whatever. Okay, let's keep going. Chris, when I retired, my employer mistakenly didn't stop my coverage. I took Medicare at time of retirement. Now Medicare won't pay my claims as they see employer plan getting bills from doctor. Okay, here's the way you reverse this. Where is my phone? Okay, listen. This can all be changed. It really can be. I'm going to give you a number to call. Very simple to do, and it didn't cross over. That's what it's called. And I've got a number here for you to call, and they'll take care of you. You may have to be on hold for a while, but this is what you want to do. It's called Medicare Crossover. Call this number, Chris. 855. Hope you're still on the call with us here. 855-798-2627. 855-798-2627. And let them know what happened, that your employer didn't cancel the plan, because right now, obviously, you work for employer 20 or more. So because that's still in the Medicare records, they're wanting them to pay first, the company plan first, and then you second, or whoever second. And so they can stop that. And you can correct it verbally over the phone. Now, it's going to take about 10 days for that to get processed and go through. And then you're going to call the provider back and say, okay, Medicare has the record straight now. A and B is first, and your supplemental plan or whatever you have is going to be second. So you call them. It's called the Medicare Crossover Division. And I promise you can get that corrected. That's the way you do it. All right. If you take A when you're working, then stop working, take an Advantage plan, you can't switch to supplemental plan with guaranteed issue. Okay, and Keith, that is true. That is exactly true in most states. There are a couple states that are exceptions to that, but yes, and those exceptions would be New York, Connecticut, Vermont, those for sure, maybe a couple others, Maine, certain times of the year, Massachusetts, but the point is yes. If you take A, you just started that 12-month trial period. And so then what happens, then in order to get off of that, you're going to have to medically qualify, okay? And so, and again, that may be another reason someone doesn't want to take A, but the whole point is what you're saying would be true. Okay, now I'll say this, and again, this is really, really weedy. Some states don't care about the A date. They require the insurance companies to tie everything to the B date. That happens as well. But as a general rule, what you said is going to be true. Let's keep going. Question, I have insurance, so I only enrolled in Medicare A, but once I start Social Security at age 70 for me, I will automatically be enrolled in Medicare B, which I don't actually want. Okay, well, here's the way you do that, TH. So you're right. Once Social Security comes, you're going to start the B. Now, the way I see this is that your Social Security is not going to happen automatically. You're still going to have to apply for it. So when you're applying for your Social Security, they're going to ask you what you want to do about B. So you're going to say to them, no, it'll be on the application. And then trust me, when you say no to B on the Social Security online application, it's going to give you a little warning saying, are you sure you don't want to take B? You're going to be penalized. So if you don't want it, and the only reason you don't want it is because you're going to be covered by a group plan of 20 or more, then just say no to that. Now, let's say that they still send you the card. It's still not too late. You would fill out, you can do two things. You can mail the card back in, and you can check a box on the card saying, I don't want B, or you can fill out a 1763 and drop B that way. But again, you're the one in control here, because you're going to apply for Medicare at your latest age you can, 70, and that online application will give you the option to say no to Part B. Okay. Alrighty, the phone number is scrolling. What are your hours of operation? Okay, Central Time 7 to 7, Monday to Thursday, and 7 to 6 on Friday. 7 to 7 and 7 to 6 on Friday. Eric, I work for a company that pays 100% of our insurance premium but has less than 20 employees. Do you suggest I go on Part B and buy a Medigap plan and drop our company insurance? Okay. All right, yeah, that can be tough. Eric, here's what I would do if I were you, is this. Go to your employer. Obviously, they value you, and they're paying for your insurance. So what I would do is call us or whoever you're going to work with, and let's put together a package for you. And and I don't know how much you make, but if you're single below 106,000, married below 212, but whatever you're making, let's figure out what your B premium is going to be, okay? And then if you want a supplemental plan, G or N plan, that premium and the drug plan. So let's get that package together. So let's say it costs $350 a month. Then I would go to the employer and say, I could stay on the group plan, because you could, because it'd be in the second payer position.
Oh, it's less than 20.
Yeah, I know, but he could keep it. Yeah, you can keep it. You've got to enroll in A and B. That's a given. Okay, but what do we do with the group plan? So what I'm suggesting is put together your package for your G or N plan, your drug plan, and your Part B premium, and whatever that is going to be, then go to the employer and say, hey, I can keep this, you're paying for it, but a better value for you and me both would be if you just cover this Medicare package. And so it's $350 a month. I'd probably add, 20-25% taxes to that, and just maybe they'll just give you a pay raise of $400 a month or $450 a month. And I've seen that happen, tons of times, where that's a better option for you and for them. Everybody wins. Okay, so that's what I would look at. So yeah, you call us. That's our advice. Let's keep going. We've seen this one already. Yeah, how does this deductible payment work? Well, I'll go ahead and answer it, but I remember we had a CAT scan question. Okay, let's keep going. Yeah, how does the deductible payment work? Okay, yeah. All right, if we earn more than $212 between my husband and myself, is it advisable to work at half salary for 2 years to keep the $185? No, I wouldn't do that. Elizabeth, if you're that kind of income, and I think I've got my numbers here, the first IRMAA category is $212 to $266,000. Now, keep in mind, they're always looking back 2 years. So 212 to 266, the total IRMAA between the B and the D is $87 a month each. So I would not go to half salary because of $87 each. Okay, I just would not do that at all. I would keep working. If you love your job, make as much as you want. If you have an IRMAA, that's a wonderful problem to have. I know it's annoying, but it's still a good problem to have, okay, for sure. Hey, I'm going to keep working. I guarantee I'm going to have IRMAAs, and that's fine by me. I just soon have the higher income, pay my IRMAA. They're not taking it all. They're just going to take a little extra. So I would not let IRMAAs decide anything for me as far as what I'm going to do as far as working. Wouldn't do it. They're not that high, okay? All right, let's keep going. Question, Medicare covers basic cataract. That's true. And not the advanced lens choices. That's true. But what about cochlear implants? Does Medicare provide some coverage on that? Wow. All right, so the first thing you said was right. Medicare only covers basic lenses. You would have to pay for the upgrade. Now, I've never had a cochlear situation, so what I would do is whoever your doc is that would do the surgery for the cochlear implant, ask them. They're going to know because they're going to get paid. I would assume that would be a covered item, but I don't know that for sure. So whenever I doubt anything, what I do, first off, I would Google it just to see if I get some articles to read about it to see if I can come up with a decision. And I cover myself by calling the provider. Cochlear implant, maybe ear, nose, and throat. I don't know who does those kind of surgeries, but check with them because I guarantee they're going to know. They will know for sure whether it's covered or not. All right, let's keep going. Okay, can I sign up for an Advantage plan for a year, then switch to supplemental plan with no penalty? Okay, Diane, what happens just depends. Now, the answer to your question is yes, if you're going to start Medicare Advantage and Medicare A and B at 65, then you do have a true trial right. That 12-month period, you can cancel the Advantage plan during that 12-month trial right and then go back to original Medicare and get a supplemental plan with no underwriting. Okay, now, if you do A only at 65 and do B at 67, that could be a whole different story depending upon what state you live in. Okay, but it is true, if you start Medicare A and B at 65 Advantage plan, you have a trial right. All right. Who's next there, Daniel? Hey, that's all right. Daniel's our producer, and he's doing the kind of the question screening here to make sure, because sometimes we get a lot of the same question, so we try not to repeat. Excuse me. All right, my husband is a 69, retiring this year. I will keep working. He plans to appeal his IRMAA. Now his B is 349. If I sell my house, okay, not his house, after he retires, will it affect IRMAA on his Part B? Okay, well, here's the thing. Sell your house, not his house. Okay, well, I'm aware of the impact of selling a home. So if you all are filing a joint return, then the exclusion for the profit, the capital gain, is $500,000. Now, I'm assuming you're saying, because remember, there's some rules. for you to get the full exclusion of 500, you have to live it for 2 of the last 5, had to own it 2 of the last 5. So I think what you're saying to me is that would not be possible for him. So what I am thinking would be you still get an exclusion, but probably just the 250,000. And then that, if your profit is above that, then that number is going to have to be reported as capital gain, which is going then to affect the IRMAA if you file a joint return. And again, listen, I'm a licensed financial advisor. I'm not an accountant. So the smartest thing for you to do is check for sure with your accountant. I'm just kind of talking this through with you out of my brain, what I know. Now, it looks like now he is going to appeal this IRMAA, and so he can do that if his income changed either in 24 or is going to change in 2025. He can appeal the IRMAA successfully, for sure. So the majority of people, let me say it this way, the majority of people fall under that exclusion amount. Single, 250,000, married, 500,000. And then if we're above the exclusion amount, we have profit above that, then remember, it's still just subject to capital gains tax, but whatever that amount is would be income that would be counted when they calculate your IRMAA. All right, best I can do. Let's keep going. Turning 65 in June, my wife makes a very high income, plus my pension puts me in a huge Part B cost. We were not married 2 years ago. Is that the tax return the Part B cost will be based on? Okay. So I'm assuming you're going to start Medicare in 65, so they're going to look back at 2 years. Wife has high income. That's true. We were not married 2 years ago. Okay. So they're going to look back at your 23 return. And you're saying in 23 you were single. You know what? I have never had that happen before, ever, in my career. I've been doing this 17 years. Okay, so my answer to your question is I believe that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to look back at 2023. You were a single filer, and so they're going to use that number. And that limit's 106,000. So when you get that premium bill, I think it's going to be based upon your return from 2023. So you may not be affected, but the bottom line is if you're going to retire and you're going to go on, you're going to find out because I know they always look back 2 years. They're not going to look at 2024. They're not going to look back at this year either, obviously. So they'll look at 2023. So I do not believe her high income is going to affect you yet. It could, next year, but I don't think it's going to this year. And if I'm wrong, then the bottom line is then you can, you can always appeal if they use a different year. But if she's so high income, a lot of times, if you're at the max, you're still going to have to pay an IRMAA. Now, sometimes people are maxed out when they're combined income, but when they retire, they may lower their IRMAA level a little bit. So there's 5 levels of IRMAA. And so I've had people at the top that still continue to make very good money, but they went ahead and appealed, and they dropped down a couple IRMAA levels. They reduced some of that IRMAA. And so that's well worth your time to appeal. Even if you cannot eliminate the IRMAA fully, if you can eliminate some, that's still a great decision to make. So, sorry, just me. I've just never had that happen before. All right, let's keep going. Does your company deal with ARP United Healthcare? Yes, we do. Yeah. In fact, a good deal of our business that we write for supplemental plans is with ARP. Not only, we write for lots of carriers for sure, but in some areas, ARP, United Healthcare, are very competitive. They are one of the most stable companies in the country. There's some other good ones. Aetna's good, Aflac is good, Cigna's good. Really what we look at in the market, we're looking at what kind of, can we get a household discount? Can we get a multi-policy discount? So we take the top carriers that are in their market that are rate stable and then begin to look at the initial premiums. So the answer is yes. I think right now, I would say probably maybe about half of our business that we have on the books would be United Healthcare supplemental plans. So we do for sure. Okay, but what if every single doctor I use is an HMO and takes the advantage? Isn't that a plus? It is, yeah. And by the way, I'm not saying if you're on an HMO, that's a bad situation. I am just saying on HMOs, you are going to have a referral. And if you want to change doctors and that a new doctor is not in your network, that's a nuisance. So if I have my choice, I am saying to you, I think long-term, Medicare supplemental plans always turn out to be most helpful, most satisfying experience. When it comes to Advantage, networks change. Listen, we have a network just recently, last year, 2024, that in the middle of the year, hospitals were dropping them. Effective July 1, they were done. So things change with those. But again, if an Advantage, that HMO working for you, stay on it. I'm not saying you have bad insurance. I'm just saying they're different. And networks can be an issue. I've had plenty of times when they were problems. And I'm glad you're having a good experience. I really am. Let's keep going. Confirming, I heard you right. Does supplemental plan take premium from Social Security monies? No. What comes out of Social Security checks would be Part B premium. That's not a supplemental. Supplemental plans are almost always bank drafted. They can be direct bill with some carriers, but usually it comes out of a bank account. So when it comes to your Social Security check, Part B has to come out, and then Part D plans can come out if you choose. But supplemental plans always paid through like an ACH, EFT kind of an arrangement. Just need to know if I'm on a payment plan, once I made deductible, it will be zero for the rest of this year, and that's true. It will be. And so I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about, but I think you're talking about this program that United Healthcare has where you actually can enroll, and instead of you getting a $20 bill here, a $50 bill here applied to deductible, you signed up for the plan where they actually will pull those small bills up to the $257 out of your checking account. I think that's a great option. So that's true. Once you meet the deductible, you have zero the rest of the year. 2 criteria. Number 1, that means you've gone to a Medicare provider and any service you have is being covered by Medicare. Okay? So as long as that's the case, you pay the B deductible, you're done for the whole year. Zero cost. Why do you keep saying Plan D for drugs is a couple of dollars a month? In New York, WellCare cheapest plan went up $35 a month plus to Tier 3. Okay, well, you're right. In fact, Medicare supplemental plans are also much higher in New York City. So, hey, forgive me for that. When I'm doing these, I'm just kind of generally speaking. The majority of the states are going to have a couple of plans that are less than $20 a month, and some of them have zero. Right now, I'm speaking to you from Kansas. We have a plan here that's $3.10 a month. Okay, so they are out there, but in New York City, yeah, obviously that is going to be an exception, and probably some other states as well. So, I'm not trying to be misleading, but yeah, New York City this costs a lot. That's all there is to it. All right, I turn 66 next week, planning on retiring December 12th. I'm on my employer health plan. How far in advance should I begin my Medicare enrollment under the special enrollment period? Well, no sooner, Carl, than 90 days prior to when you want your coverage to begin. So you're going to retire in December 12th. That means the company plan covers you through 12/31. You're going to start your Medicare 1/1. So just back up the clock 3 months. So we're talking October. So October 1 gives us all of October, November, December. So October 1, you can, from that date on, you can have the L564 filled out by your employer, because if that date's older than 90 days, the Social Security office will not process it. They won't, guarantee you. And so again, if that 90-day window is fine, and I mean you don't have to do it then. You can, you could do it 1 week before. I wouldn't do that. That's putting it off a little long, but no sooner than 90 days. People ask me all the time, well, Marvin, when do we call you? What should you do? 60 to 90 days before you retire, and when you do the SEP, let's start that process then, 60 to 90 days. We have 2 forms, L564 and the 40B. We initiate all that for you, but the employer has to complete the L564. The 40B form with L564 then is given to your local Social Security office to bring you into Medicare, and yours would be effective January 1. All right, Marvin, you just advised someone who said they were making $212 to not reduce their income because IRMAA would only be $85. I'm confused because I earned $140,000. My IRMAA is $185. Well, you don't know. IRMAA is an additional surcharge, Danny. IRMAA is for people that are above the threshold. So let me say it again. If I'm a single filer and I'm below $106,000 or I'm a married filer below, file a joint return, I'm below 212,000, we don't have IRMAAs. So those are the thresholds, 106 below, 212 below, no IRMAA. If I get above those amounts, now I have IRMAAs. IRMAA stands for Income Related Monthly Adjustment Amount. So below the thresholds, I just pay Part B. That is 185. But if I'm above the threshold, they're going to start adding the surcharges, the IRMAAs, to my Part B and Part D. And what I was saying was that 212 to 266 is the lowest level of IRMAA, first level. And that's where the $85 come in. If someone was single, their lowest level is 106 and it goes to 133. So anything between 106 and 133 would have that $87 IRMAA attached to it. And we just keep going up. Okay? Hopefully that explains it better. Okay, I have an Advantage plan. My doctor went to a concierge practice. May I bill the PPO and Tricare for life for reimbursement on visits? No, you cannot, for sure. Because the concierge doctor has actually signed a contract saying that they are not going to receive any money from Medicare, nor will they bill Medicare. And they're supposed to disclose that to you to let you know, and that's clearly what's going on. So, no, that PPO plan, if you have an Advantage plan or you have Tricare, because remember, Tricare follows Medicare. So if Medicare is not going to pay that concierge doc, then Tricare is not going to pay any kind of copays at all. So sadly, you're going to just have to be out of pocket. If that concierge is worth it to you, then just keep going there for the services that they provide. Now, if they refer you out to somebody, let's say a specialist that takes Medicare, then you're good to go. All right, but anything that concierge doc is doing, no one is going to cover that except you. You'll be cash on that. All right, I went on your website to get prices on energy. They were high compared to others I have checked. Should I call in, or are these prices limited? No, we write for the majority of carriers, and honestly, Sky, I've never had someone say that. Okay, so and again, you went to our website. I'm not sure on our website you can't even get prices.
Medicare Compare.
Okay.
Medicare Compare.
Okay, yeah, and Sky, you can go to what's called Medigap.
That might have been what they did.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, but there should have been all the carriers on there. I mean, we write for almost everyone, so I don't see how there could be a carrier out there that's going to have a lower price. I don't know. Will you do me a favor, Sky? Would you just call and let's verify that, because again, I've never had someone ever say that. We're brokers. We write for the majority of carriers. Now, there are a few carriers that are regional that are not stable with their rates. We're not going to write for them because we want our clients to have as best the rate stability possibilities, available. And so there are some regional carriers that we don't write. But as a general rule, we're going to write the majority of people you'd want to go with. So I don't know. No one else to say to that question. And I'm really, really sorry. Call in and let's double check those premiums that you're seeing somewhere. But we do have one site called Medigap Compare. If you went to that, then again, there's tons of companies in there. So I'm just not sure what happened. Okay, Danny, sorry, sir, but my IRMAA with 148 was at 185. Okay, here's why. Give me just a second. I know what you're saying now. Okay, you are in the second level. You're single filer, okay? And that's true, okay? So single, anyone between 133 and 167 has an IRMAA really you have more than that, Danny. Your B IRMAA is $184.10. Your D IRMAA is $35.30. So when I said 87, and when I talk about IRMAAs, I always combine the B and the D, because if you have a B IRMAA, you have a D IRMAA. So I like to put the two together. So I know what you're saying now. So what's the question? Income was 185.
I was just clarifying.
Oh, okay, I understand. Okay, and by the way, that makes sense. Yeah, you are. You're at that income level as a single person. You pay base of 185. Your B IRMAA was 184.10. So you're right. It is right at $370. So you're right. Let's keep going. Thank you for clarifying that for me, Danny.
This one, maybe you know the answer to this.
If you sell a rental property and have an IRMAA, if the property is a disclosed property, do you know if the penalty can be voided? I do not know. You said displaced property, not disclosed, displaced. I don't know that. Really, really sorry. But I do know this. You have a rental property, have an IRMAA. Okay. Okay. I'm not even sure the penalty that you're talking about. Are you talking about is he talking about the IRMAA penalty? Because listen folks, there's only 8 reasons that you can appeal an IRMAA, 8 of them. Okay, and one of those is called the loss of income producing property. That's the only one that has to do with property, loss of income producing property. And what that means is you no longer have that. It burned up in California, meaning it is gone. It doesn't mean that you sold it and took a loss. It means it's gone. It was gone in a flood, destroyed in a fire. It means you had that 2 years ago and were receiving income from it, but now it's gone. And the way you win that appeal is you just have to have insurance documentation proving that it was lost. Again, fire, flood, whatever. Okay? But as far as displaced property, I'm not familiar with that whatsoever. Sorry. Okay. Any more questions? Okay, Terry, are there any alternatives to Part D well care? Oh yeah, there's a lot of alternatives to well care. Now, well care is a good fit for a lot of people just because low premium. But the issue with them for us has been we can't write them anymore. They don't work with brokers. They're a direct to consumer. So you're dependent upon their customer service, and good luck with that. That's an issue for sure. Seen that happen plenty of times. But there's lots of other companies. Right now, United Healthcare has 2 plans. Cigna has, I think, 2 plans. Anthem Blue Cross has a couple plans. Humana has a couple plans. So there's not near as many as there used to be. We used to have lots and lots of plans, but right now most markets are going to have an average of 10 to 15 different plans, and so there's about, I think, 6 or 7 different carriers beyond WellCare. So yes, we'll help you with that if you want. All right. Anything else? Okay. All right, folks. Well, thanks so much. I hope you learned a lot. I've loved it, enjoyed it. If you're still with me, go to our website, and we have an Essentials workshop and a YouTube channel. Lots of great videos for you to learn, but anything that you can do on those sites, just learn all you can, then give us a call. We'd love to be your broker. No cost for our services whatsoever. Reach out to us if we can provide further assistance. Thanks so much. See ya.